Hi, my name is Sky, and it's part of How to Be a Writer or a Fantasy Writer. And even then, it's kind of like my own version of fantasy. See, I like to get realistic. So, I got this graph paper out, and I don't know, I used to design and draw forts, fortifications, castles, stuff like that. Just I can't draw a straight line to save my life, so I just use the graph paper to help me out with that. But I'm just very fascinated by just how you design and create things, and just how you lay it out, and understand just how space works. So in the case of this, this is actually for a sequel to the story I'm writing, A Gang of Daggers, and this will be the sequel, A Kingdom of Daggers. And what I have happen is the characters take over a city, and they redesign it. So this is the city center. And whenever I do a graph, the first thing I do is I figure out, okay, well, what is my scale? What is one square going to represent? If I'm doing a building, usually like one little square would represent a doorway, so about 3 feet. In this case, I'm thinking each square is going to represent the width of a wagon, so about 6 feet or so. And so, as a result, the main roads going into the city center would be 1, 2, 3. 2 lanes of traffic going one way, 2 lanes of traffic going the other way. The third lane as a sort of stop area, since these would be the main crossroads going into the city. Now, the reason why it's designed this way, and right now I just have a rough sketch of the outline. It's like ideally the main buildings of the city are going to be within the city center. So a school, hospital, 2 shopping centers, one for food, one for products, police station, city hall, a bank, library, mayor's house, auditorium, bathhouse, orphanage, shelter. I think there's some other ideas. I just can't think of them all right now. But I got all the main buildings taken care of. Places like the barracks, stuff like that. That's outside of the city. And in fact, some of these structures I may end up connecting together, because I kind of use as a rough medium 6 spaces across. So each of these is 6 by 6 to form a square structure, and then 2-lane roads surrounding each main building, and along the main thoroughfares in and out of the city center. There are these main buildings, which are basically commercial buildings, so places that meant for a lot of people to be shopping at are along here, and they'd be separated by little alleyways along the way, but they would have a 2-way cross street behind them, and that's just for traffic purposes. And then behind that would be a main block with an alleyway, and then another main block, 2-lane road, main block, alleyway, main block. And because I'm using the grid system and these things are a little off here and there, I've accommodated as such with like little things here and there. Real simple idea. But part of it, part of the reason why I design like this, I guess, I want to be exact, I want to be thorough, I want to know exactly, like what I'm going to have happen. But there's other things I have to take into account, I'm going to have to work in. So ideally, I want this as the main thoroughfare of cross traffic to be able to go through, create another little lane, area of traffic that goes around, and then a main square here, which would be a plaza area. There would be, and I'm going to draw it in later, but a small island kind of separating these structures from the plaza, and that would be for grassland. So ideally, you have one fountain in the middle, and I'm going to do some later videos, but with those videos, I'm going to show and draw in things like waterways, both fresh and sewage. And I don't know, just see what else I can design and create out of this. It's too bad this is how big I'm making it, because I kind of want something like, I wish the graph was a little bit smaller somehow. and then I could show you like the more of the layout of the whole city. So I may do that on a different one, and just change the scale a little bit as a result. Um, but essentially, the storyline is just they come into the city, they go to the city center, and the thing is, it's all built up. There's structures all over the place, no real straight roads. And what these guys end up doing is they just say, oh well, we're going to rebuild the city, and they kind of don't care what the people were doing. They just said, well, we're going to rebuild the city. If we have to relocate you, don't worry, we have some tents. We'll set you up outside the city walls, and you'll be fine. Which, if you know the characters, the story, makes sense because they just really don't care about the people. They just want to get stuff from them. So I just thought, that'd be a real interesting, neat way that to design it. And if I do get it published, like I would definitely want to include this in the storyline or like in the book, because to me, I like when I flip open a book and there's drawings, maps, graphs, whatever. That shows like a little bit extra effort on the part of the author, and I don't know. It helps me visualize the idea as well. So that's kind of like why I like this. It just gives me and whoever is checking this out like a visual representation of what's going on. How the characters are using the environment and in what different ways. And it's also kind of neat as a writer because I had this initial notion that okay, everything would be square, and you just have these square blocks, crisscrossing out, and then in the corners you would have parks, and then wherever there was an empty space, it would be turned into a park as well, and they would add in structures as time went on. Because as the story continues, they end up forming, or they conquering other cities, and they realize, okay, well, after we conquered more than one city, that means we need a government to oversee those two cities, and so they create a new structure which adds to that. So yeah, I don't know, this would be interesting. But a 36 by 36 building, or space for a building. I'm kind of curious if that would work or not.